What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel, and here we are for part 1 of the offseason of the Detroit Lions Madden 21 franchise, better known as episode 9. So usually when you do an offseason or when you see an offseason video for a Madden franchise on YouTube, it's usually the entirety of the offseason crammed into one video. I didn't want to do it just a tad bit differently, so today we're going to have a little bit of a quick video that's just going to focus on solely free agency. I went through most of the comments in my video from yesterday where I was talking about, like, kind of, give me some suggestions in the comment section below about maybe what direction we should go for free agency. What are some of the big players? Because we don't have a whole lot of money. We have an okay amount of change. I think we're just over $22 million worth of salary cap. So we could sign, a legit player and fill out some depth players and stuff like that. But I wanted to just do free agency now so that tomorrow will be the draft. And in the comments of this video, you guys can kind of base what you saw in free agency as far as the direction that we should go in the draft. So it gives you guys 2 opportunities to try to give suggestions and influence this franchise as far as it goes for signings and improvements. So when I'm looking at my squad, you always want to try to maximize your salary cap when you go into free agency. And unfortunately, there's no one really worth cutting. You're looking at this like Ragnar, we're not letting him go. Jamie Collins was one of the most productive line. Now, it's one of those things. Actually, I want to see where he ranked amongst all linebackers. It's one of those things when you are trying to evaluate linebackers properly. You want to think the linebacker that gets the most tackles in the NFL, it should be the best linebacker. But the reality is that's very often far from the case. But I think you look at this year from Jamie Collins, and you're like, wow. Regardless of, tackles don't necessarily equate to great play. 12 TFLs, 5 sacks, and an interception. He was our most productive player on the defensive side of the ball. And I like playing with him. Anytime I use a linebacker, which is few and far between, I had a good time with Jamie Collins. So the problem that kind of comes with that is that I always want to free up a little bit more funds. And really, Jamie Collins is probably the only guy that's going to give us a decent chunk of change. And I just don't really want to do that right now. We have Trey Flowers here, who I'm actually going to flip up here, and we're going to try to put him on the trade block. Just see if we can get some sort of value there. We're going to take a little bit of a cap hit, but I just want to just kind of gauge the market, see what the rest of the league is kind of having for an evaluation for Trey Flowers. I'm sure the Patriots are probably going to offer us something very low bar that I won't consider, because obviously Trey Flowers picked it up. He was pretty much a ghost for 2/3 of the season, but for that last little bit, he heated up a little bit. But again, you're just seeing players, there's no one here that we're really going to be getting good save. Michael Brockers is another one where it's much like Jamie Collins, I did like the play of Michael Brockers. I like, he was solid on the defensive line, got a lot of TFLs, and it's just not really, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, Jamal Williams is an interesting one. We could get about $3 million more of salary cap, but it's is there going to be much better RB2s that we can find? Or there's going to be guys, it's kind of a lateral move. There's going to be different stylistic running backs that we can maybe get, maybe more of a power back, or maybe more of a change of pace, because Jamal Williams is kind of in the middle grounds. He's not really, that speed guy that's going to come in relief duty for DeAndre Swift and have 95 speed. He's also not really a power back. We get 80 break tackle, 83 trucking. He's not bad, but not great. He's a sure-handed runner. And how much do you want to pay for that? You know what? I'll get rid of Jamal Williams. I just feel like stylistically, he's not going to be ever more than RB2 behind DeAndre Swift. And I feel like we could probably go a lot cheaper, get someone that's just very good at one set of skills that can complement DeAndre Swift, be it an all-out power back or someone that has just insane speed. So as we go into free agency, this is our max, $26.5 million. That's enough to make some moves. And judging from the comments from the last video, there was 2 players you guys most likely wanted me to sign. First was Fred Warner at middle linebacker, and Wyatt Teller was the other popular name on the offensive line. Don't have enough money to really kind of get both. $40 million over 3 years for Teller at 27, $70 million for Fred Warner at 25. Got to make some decisions. I think here's my way of thinking about it. Was our run game good last year with not elite prospects across the offensive line? We were still able to keep Jared Goff upright for the most part, and we could run the ball with DeAndre Swift. He's our best weapon. So I feel like Wyatt Teller is the lesser of the 2 options. So we are going to offer Fred Warner First, the big contract, $70 million. It's what he's looking for. Hopefully he signs right away. There's no other bids on him right now. But the way that I'm thinking about it is like, well, I usually use the defensive line. Sometimes I use the linebackers or things get a little too cheesy over the middle to the tight ends and running backs. But generally, it's the computer. And I figure having a computer Fred Warner out there controlling the middle of the defense, bossing the middle of the field. He's more of a cover linebacker as well. He's an X factor. That's probably the most important player we could potentially land in this free agency period. Still have $14 million, and I have gone through free agency on a little sheet here for players that I do want to sign. So at running back, I think it's important to spend that Jamal Williams money that we moved on, like, what was it, $3 million wisely, and I want a running back that can complement DeAndre Swift. And I think the first running back, you either go speed or you go power. And looking at speed options, Matt Breida is that guy. I'm wondering how little we could lowball him to get a decent offer. Ideally, I want that cap hit to be kind of low. If we can get that under $2 million, we'll just see at least where we are in terms of we might get him. If we don't get Matt Breida, the second option I am looking is a reunite because he originally was on and had some decent snaps as a rookie for the Lions, and that is way down here. The running back, formerly of Alabama, Bo Scarborough. If we can't get Matt Breida, I think Scarborough's an interesting option. 6'1", 230, 90 acceleration, 87 trucking. So at least he gives us that power back element that we don't have in our backfield because, looking at Jamar Jefferson there as RB2, he's actually not really good at anything. He's like 88 speed, 90 acceleration, and all of his other stats are like high 70. So he's a well-rounded running back. But that's not the best compliment I'm looking for. So we'll see if we can get Breida there. Still got $11 million. We're going to try to get Bronson Rechsteiner at fullback just because I want to give him league minimum contract. I think he's in like wrestling now, trying to become a pro wrestler, but obviously Rechsteiner's the man, so we'll see if we can get him on a 3-year deal. Love his skill set. At wide receiver, this is where we're going to sit a little bit back in free agency because we don't really need a wide receiver, even though you look at our wide receiver room, Rashad Perriman, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Quintez Cephas. Those are our top 3 wide receivers going into the offseason, going into the draft. Not a lot of star talent there, even though Perriman and St. Brown both went over 1,000 yards, so we know that they're better than their ratings look. But, in terms of, I just want to wait and see how much money we have, wiggle room. I think Preston Williams could be an interesting option. Not necessarily a speedster, but a big-time possession wide receiver, has the dev trait. He's on my short list. We're going to wait till the second wave of free agency there. If not, I also really kind of like the speedster, formerly of the Chargers here, in Jalen Guyton. 6'1", 212, so he's a big ass wide receiver. 93 speed, 90 acceleration, 82 catching, 76 deep route running, 87 jumping. So I think really interesting player. Made a lot of big plays with Justin Herbert, and I think again, getting into the dire days of free agency, get into day 2, day 3, they're still there. Maybe we can give them a lower offer, shorter term contract, and bring them in. But right now, we'll just wait and see on those guys, but the plan is eventually to offer them. Tight end, we need another tight end behind TJ Hawkinson. I'm going all the way down here. This is one of my favorite tight ends in Madden. That's Donald Parham Jr. So we're going to give him, much like Rechsteiner, we're going to give him a kind of a cheap offer here. Don't want any crazy cap. I mean, he's absolutely still a developmental player. So I don't know if we're going to get him for an offer like that. But Orange usually he's like, you most likely will sign them unless no other big offers come in. So we'll grab that. I also am actually kind of intrigued by bringing in Akeem Butler. Again, would give him very much a bottom tier offer here. Nothing too crazy, but I mean, I'm a big time Akeem Butler fan when he's coming to Iowa State. So sure, let's have 2 glorified receivers at tight end behind Hawkinson. It's just depth at that point. Offensive line, we could use a little bit of depth, but again, that's where I more so will look for the draft. Wyatt Teller would be an awesome addition to our offensive line. But, at this point, I think right guard, that's going to be one of the more spots we're going to push to the top of the list for this draft. So I'm going to more so grab some depth here, get a guy that's actually pretty damn good for my Philadelphia Eagles, and that is Nate Herbick. So again, like Parham, like some of the other tight ends, I'm going to give him really a bottom tier offer because that's all he is. He's just glorified depth at this point. Defensively, now that we move on to the defensive line, there's one guy that I'm thinking about bringing in, but we would have to make a couple moves. So much like the wide receivers, we're kind of going to wait and see, and that's Mo Hurst. Mo Hurst is a channel legend. If you watch the Raiders Madden series a couple Maddens ago, Mo Hurst was an absolute beast. And for our scheme, he would be a defensive end, obviously coming back. Went to Michigan. I don't know if he's from Michigan or not, but I always kind of just associate him. Local kid. If we got Mo Hurst, We could bring him in, and then we'd have to release Michael Brockers. We could free up a little bit of money by moving Michael Brockers. So again, that's going to be something we'll reevaluate in the second day of free agency into the third day. See if there's any offers yet on Mo Hurst. And if we can just kind of slide under the radar, even though Michael Brockers was good, free up $1 million, flip Michael Brockers, get younger at that position. Michael Brockers into the 30s, not going to get any better. Mo Hurst, 27. And then also, he's going to be a guy that I'm going to use on that defensive line. So it's not always going to be Levi Onwuzurike. I could get down with adding in Mo Hurst. But you can see right now, not a lot of salary cap, still more pressing needs for our squad. But we're good at linebacker. Fred Warner will be our addition there. But into the secondary, I think we still need to get a corner. We only have 3 corners on our roster. Jeff Okudah, Amani Oruwariye, and Melifonwu that we got from Syracuse out of the draft. I would love to bring in another corner. I don't know what our budget's going to be 100%, and we still have other positions we need to get. First, I just want to get our depth out of the way. Another player that I want to get, much like, we could actually pair back the Melifonwu brothers, but more so like Parham, underrated players that we've always had fun with in Madden. White Lightning, Troy Apke here. I would love for him to, let's give him a 2-year deal, be bottom depth there for free safety. Just getting fun players that we've had some good positive experience with on the channel. And speaking of, we have Goggles, nerd at kicker. I could totally get down with Rodrigo Blankenship being the kicker of the Detroit Lions for the foreseeable future. We'll give him a 3-year deal. Again, we're lowballing all these guys. Orange offers, that's fine. They don't take it. I mean, there's other kickers I like. Joey Sly with that 99 kick power. I can get down with that. Carlson has a big leg. Pinheiro has a big leg. We can get the Money Badger as well. We do have options there. But now, with just over $6 million of salary cap, we got to find ourselves a corner. And this is where it's like, we price ourselves out of like a J.C. Jackson, a Carlton Davis. We're just not going to have that money. I think it would be irresponsible to not at least try and grab a potential upgrade at corner here. Can we get Garyon Conley's in it? Again, corner can also much be like that right guard spot, a spot that we kind of prioritize after the quarterback spot in the draft. Mike Hughes got the dev trait, which is fine. I'm not overly concerned about dev trait. I more so just want affordable players, maybe with some upside. And I think someone like Isaiah Oliver, very highly touted pick when he was coming out of Colorado, height, weight, speed for a little bit. One player I do want to just bring in here, I'm going to grab Josh Jackson. Josh Jackson was an absolute beast at Iowa, was unable to kind of put things together there. I'm not trying to say this is going to be a signing that's going to take us over the top or anything like that, but we only have 3 corners on the roster. We can't really afford a corner that's going to make an immediate impact, or even a corner that's going to be more beneficial to get starting reps over Okudah, who we want to develop, over Oruwariye, who we want to develop. So I feel like Josh Jackson can come in, be be corner 3, corner 4 on the team, whatever we go in the draft, and we can see what happens. So with that $4.9 million, can we at least throw a bid here on Mo Hurst? 2 years, $10 million. It's going to be tight. All right, let's just get in the second day of free agency, and we'll see what happens. But as we go into that, Mo Hurst is probably going to be our top target. Come on, baby. Give me some good news. Give me a couple guys signed already. I know there's a lot of low balls. We got Goggles. Goggles wants to be a part of it. Akeem Butler, we got Fred Warner, baby. Superstar X Factor, middle of the defense. Okay, we got Akeem Butler. Goggles for some of you guys out there that was a big fan of him back in the day. He could be the sign. Okay, I'm going to risk it all. We're going to get rid of Brockers. And then with that money, and this is unfortunate because, again, I talked about it at the end of last season with Jamie Collins, where it's like you're always in this rebuild mindset of like, you got to get younger. And it just, Michael Brockers was good. He did not deserve to get cut, but he did get cut. There's no offers on Mo Hurst right now. 27, 2-year deal is actually not too bad. Let's see if we can lower that just a little bit. Get him maybe into the 5s for a cap hit. Something like that. 2-year, $12.4 million. And then probably wide receiver. See if we can dip there. Who's still available at corner? Maybe. No. We'll go wide receiver. And let's see what Jalen Guyton. I feel like that's... who else was it we were looking for? Preston Williams. There's no bids on Preston Williams yet. 3 years. See if we can give me like 1.5. 1.5 on both sides. No, let's go a little bit lower than that. Let's try that offer. Preston Williams. So right now we're still waiting. We actually got to see if we're still the top bid on some of our players that we are looking for in my negotiations. We're still first on everybody. That's a lot of depth, but okay, let's see. Let's go to the next stage. Day 2 of free agency in the books. We got Parham. Nice. We got Jackson. We got Josh Jackson. See if we can, get another return of living up to hype. Mo Hurst is here. Preston Williams is here. So I think the last of our kind of contributors is Breida. And I think we still obviously have enough money to get all 3 of these guys. So we can get Breida. It's going to be happy business. Great squad building. Trying to just slowly build this Lions team in the vision that we have. We have a 5th-year option here for TJ Hawkinson. We'll pick it up. It's one of those things, 5th-year options in Madden. I mean, obviously, 5th-year options in real life gives you another year to properly evaluate the player. I feel like in Madden, 5th-year options usually are kind of negative because you're just going to have a player with like a $12 million cap hit for the ensuing season. But, hey, Hawkinson's earned it, man. 1,000 yards for a tight end. Hopefully, we can get him a dev trade sooner than later. And we actually finished off free agent getting all of our targets. Herbick, Rex Steiner, White Lightning, Troy Apke, and Matt Breida all sign with the Detroit Lions. So this is the free agency episode. Let's finish up with a recap around the league because there was some big, juicy names in free agency and more so looking at what our squad looks like depth chart-wise as we enter the draft so that you guys in the comments can kind of fill in what players we need to prioritize in the draft if it's not already fairly obvious. So looking on the offensive side of the ball, always would be open-minded to adding another wide receiver, even though we got Preston Williams and I like Parham, St. Brown, and Cephas. If there's a wide receiver that looks like an immediate impact playmaker, we may have to dip in. Quarterback, obviously, we're all pretty much, in agreement here that Jared Goff is almost certainly not the guy that's going to lead us forward. So quarterback is priority number 1. And then on the offensive line, guard, improving that guard spot. Stenberg's right there with Herbick. I mean, we could let him battle it out. Could see if someone gets released, right, in the preseason, stuff like that. But right guard, at least grabbing a lineman that we can even kick into right guard, that is also going to be a top priority. So I'd say on the offense, QB and interior lineman would be tier 1. Wide receiver would be tier 2. Defensively, now we got Mo. I like that D-line. You got to remember, Lee McNeil, bronze dev trade. He was in the top 10 shortlist for defensive rookies of the year. So him and Amu Zariki, I think, have earned the opportunity to at least try, and especially for Lee McNeil's case, to start, see if he can get a dev trade upgrade sooner than later. We also can get Deshaun Hannon involved. Mo Hurst there, kicking out from D-tackle to defensive end. Very excited for that. Bringing back a channel legend. Linebacking, of course, not. Obviously, major investments here in Fred Warner. Collins will play there. Kind of to the downside of Tavai. Tavai's a guy you do want on the field. He's only 25, 26. So you want, with that dev trait, to him to maximize his reps, maximize the XP. But is what it is, man. I didn't notice him making plays, and Jamie Collins made a whole lot of them. For the draft, maybe getting younger at edge rusher. Aquaro's expensive. Trey Flowers are expensive. I don't know how much more development we're going to get out of them. And then really, the younger Aquaro is the only guy that has some upside there. And even he still has a very long way to go before he becomes like an all-time playmaker for our defense. So if he can even reach that type of ceiling. So I think edge rusher, low-key edge rusher is kind of a priority. I'm happy with the safeties. Harrison and Walker both have dev traits. I don't think that's a pressing need unless there's like a BPA safety. Corner, again, kind of like an edge rusher. I'm happy with the guys we have. I think Okuda and Oruwariye are guys that we can build around. Guys that I think Oruwariye, especially if he gets a dev trait, he's going to go. He's going to leap into the 80s sooner than later. And Okuda, getting ready to strap that missile and rocket to his back, he's going to go up to the goddamn moon. But beyond that, we got J.C. Jackson, Melifonwu. Could we do better if there's a corner that's a can't-miss player, say in the second round, third round, something like that? Definitely could add more competition to the secondary. But ideally, again, on the defense, I would say edge rusher, corner, maybe nose tackle if there's a guy that's an obvious upgrade over a Lee McNeil. And special teams were good, man. Fox and Nerd Alert back there. Maybe bringing in like a special return man, like a guy that's actually like a legit danger versus someone like Jefferson. I mean, 86 and 85 isn't too bad. But, he doesn't have a lot of speed, so see if we can get a speedster that offers a little bit of juice on special teams. That could be a priority, but that is our squad. And I think that, guard, quarterback, edge rusher, like those would probably be the big 3. And then if we had to get a 5, it'd be like you'd throw in corner and, speed at wide receiver, like the fastest guy. Like round 7, let's get the guy with the fastest 40 at wideout. Looking at the rest of the league here to wrap up this episode, still, wow. Devontae Adams still waiting to get signed somewhere. That's actually kind of crazy. But look at the league sortings. We got Gilmore going to the 49ers. Honey Badger going to the Bills. Mitchell Schwartz going to football team. Wyatt Teller helping him protect Carson Wentz there on the Colts. Trent Brown to the Vikings. Chandler Jones to the Chargers. Lattimore to the Eagles. I would love that signing, to be completely honest with you. McCourty to the Browns. Clowney to the Vikings. J.C. Jackson, guy that we wanted to sign, just didn't have the money, going to Pittsburgh. Marcus Williams to the Rams. Dallas Goedert signing within the division, kind of giving the middle finger to the Eagles there, going to the Giants. Carlton Davis to the Raiders. He was a good signing. Michael Gallup to the Raiders. Good signing. Evan Ingram to the Colts. Cortland Sutton to the Giants. Giants spending an insane amount of money. Orlando Brown going to the Rams. That's a good get. Rob Gronkowski going to the Cincinnati Bengals. Peppers to the Cardinals. There's some good signings, around the league. O.J. Howard going to football team. Keanu Neal going to football team. It's looking like a little bit of a bloodbath there in the NFC East. Leighton Vander Esch going to the Patriots. That does seem like a Patriot guy. I did think about potentially bringing Ndamukong Suh back. If we couldn't get Mo Hurst, and Suh was there on the last day of free agency, even though actually there's no way I could have given him a 1-year, $10 million. But it would have been awesome to kind of reunite Suh, let him retire, let him finish out his career in Detroit. Zach Ertz going to the Patriots. Earl Thomas to the Falcons. Probably about it for the crazy. I think we did a good job. All said and done, I think for the fact that we only had $20 million. Wasn't an insane amount of money. We got fun depth players. White Lightning, Parham, Keem Butler, Rex Steiner. We got someone like Josh Jackson that was an insanely hyped corner coming out of college, giving him a change of scenery, see if he can reach that plateau. It was he was what? I don't know if he was the Thorpe winner when he was coming out of Iowa. I just remember he had an insane amount of interceptions. So maybe you can turn it around here in Detroit. We got Preston Williams, dev trait wide receiver. We brought back Goggles. We got a speedster option, change of pace running back to pair with DeAndre Swift. Bringing back another channel legend in Mo Hurst to captain that defensive line. And then, the big splash. Everyone wanted Fred Warner. We went out. We got Fred Warner. So that will do it for the free agency special, guys. We'll be back tomorrow with the entirety of the 2022 NFL Draft. So give me your suggestions right now for how you want to see this draft here. We'll start the draft up. We'll pause it. I probably could just sim to our pick, but I don't want to. We'll just leave it here. Just be safe. What players should we be getting? At quarterback, there's big names, man, and none of them look great, which is kind of in a ways good because, we talked about this 2 episodes ago, where it's am I annoyed that all these quarterbacks are red and all these quarterbacks kind of suck in terms of draft grade? Yeah, it'd be nice if there was some green there, but there's challenge in that, right? It's not like we're going to be able to get that Trevor Lawrence superstar X-Factor quarterback right out the gate. Judging by these draft grades, probably got some work to do with any of these quarterbacks. So what QB? I really think Ritter up. 7 of these guys. If one person can get some momentum in the comments about what one quarterback should we get, I will do it. Spencer Rattler's maybe the most popular one, even though he's QB2. And I was reading through the comments, and everyone kind of thought his play style in real life complements my play style of Madden of just, the fuck it and chuck it. So for that standpoint, I absolutely would like, but either way, I have no real personal preference. I would say the one QB I don't want would be Slovis, just because he was not very good at USC last year. And I would ideally like whatever quarterback we try to build around here in Detroit to maybe potentially end up in Detroit in 2 years' time. And, maybe predict the future a little bit. Talking about wide receivers here, we're not going to be able to get any of these premier guys. But into the second round, I'll tell you right now, if John Mechie's still there in the second round as a Canadian, probably going to pull the trigger. Burks, Pickens, there's a lot of value in that second round at wide receiver that, even though it's not an immediate need, could be, if Justin Ross is still there. I know he has the injury history, but if Justin Ross is still there, might be too much to pass on. Fry Frogel, Jahan Dotson, big-time speedster there. Actually, he's exactly the type of playmaker we need in the 4th round. Offensively, just going best. I didn't have a great time scouting linemen here. I didn't get to finish out the tackles, but we do need a guard. So, Ekwonu from NC State, Sawyer from Georgia, Miller could be legit. We could grab a center. Lindenbaum is probably the best center. Patterson, we have Lindstrom. His brother went to the Falcons a little bit ago. Was that 2-3 years ago? He could be an interesting option to kick the guard. Mays, first rounder in the second round. He's still there. Cade Mays had some off the field stuff at Georgia, transferred to Tennessee, which is weird because pretty much everyone just leaves and transfers out of Tennessee. But we have 2 right guards here that look like they'd be legit value if they're there in the second round. Or, we're probably not going to get Evan Neal. He should be going top 5. Then you flip into the defense. There could be a scenario. We'll throw this out there. I think Thibodeau's the best player in the 2022 draft class, if somehow he's there at our pick? Do we forego a quarterback, wait and grab the second group, right? The second group of players. And if someone like a Thibodeau, if someone like Leal, if someone like Derek Stingley, if someone like Kyle Hamilton, guys that are consensus top 5 picks, are there on that board. And I'd say probably a little less so on Hamilton. We don't need a free safety. But if Stingley, we'll put it this way. I'll make it simple for you. If Leal, Stingley, or Kayvon Thibodeau, more so Thibodeau and Stingley, if they're there, do we draft one of those guys and then get a quarterback in the second round? Because there's probably, QBs and Madden. I would say Howell and Rattler are probably going to go on. But I can absolutely see a scenario that if we skip QB in the first round, JT Daniels, Carson Strong, Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, for sure, will be there on the swing of things. So I really need your guys' influence. If you think it's Spencer Rattler, no matter what, let me know. If you think if Thibodeau or say someone like Derek Stingley, an X factor, a truly elite playmaker on the defensive side of the ball is still there, we forego that quarterback spot, grab the best player defensively that's available. We'll get rid of Leal because we don't need that D-line. We spent money on Mo Hurst. If Thibodeau, Stingley are there, because we need corner help, we definitely need edge rusher help, and then, we go quarterback in the second round. I need to kind of know what you guys are feeling from that idea. Let me know in the comment section below. But that'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching part 1 of the offseason. I hope that you kind of I think this is probably the better way to present it because it just gives you guys more of an opportunity without doing like a live stream because I don't really want to do that. To have more influence on my franchise mode. So let me know what you think of our free agency signings. Let me know what we should do. Give me an idea of how you would do this draft. And we'll see what happens tomorrow's video. So thank you guys for watching. It's always your first time stopping by. Don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out. And hey, I got my COVID vaccine today. Shot 1 of 2. And I still don't have lasers coming out of my eyes. So that's disappointing.